Galactic Council betrayed humanity. Now we've given them a warning. Run for your lives. Commander Yunji stood at the tall glass window of the Galactic Council station. She watched Earth grow smaller as her shuttle moved away. This was her 10th visit to the Council in 5 years. Every time they promised help and friendship. Every time she left with more doubts. "Commander, we have the files," said Jin Ho, her young assistant. His hands shook as he passed her the small data chip. "I copied them from the Council's secret archive. What they're planning for Earth, you need to see it." Yunji took the chip and slid it into her personal reader. Her face grew pale as she read. Project Human Harvest, weapons testing, genetic experiments, and worst of all, attack plans. The Council had never wanted peace. They had been studying humans as weapons and test subjects all along. "How soon?" she asked. Jin Ho looked down. "The first attack ships are already moving. They will hit our outer colonies within days." Yunji crushed the empty cup in her hand. "We need to warn Earth. Now." But it was already too late for some. As their ship raced toward the jump point, emergency signals flooded the communication system. Colony 7 was under attack. Then Colony 3, then 5. On the main screen, a Council official spoke with a calm face. "Due to discovered threats, we are implementing protective measures around human settlements. This is for your safety. Please do not resist." "Liars!" Yunji shouted at the screen. "Jin Ho, can we send a warning?" "They're blocking all signals to Earth," he replied. "But our ship has an old emergency beacon. It might get through." As they worked, their ship shook. A Council cruiser had found them. "Keep working on the message," Yunji ordered. "I'll buy us time." She ran to the weapon controls. Their small ship had only basic defenses, but Yunji was the best pilot Earth had. She turned the ship sharply, diving under the cruiser and firing at its sensor array. The larger ship turned slowly, giving them precious seconds. Jin Ho's voice came through the ship's system. "Message ready." "Send it," Yunji shouted as she dodged another attack. The beacon fired, a small burst of light racing toward Earth. The cruiser fired again, hitting their engine. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. "Did it send? Did the message go through?" Yunji asked. Jin Ho checked his screen. "Yes. Earth will know what's coming." The Council ship moved closer. A voice came through their speakers. "Human, vessel power down and prepare to be boarded." Yunji looked at Jin Ho. "We can't let them take us. The data chip has more than just their plans. It has their weaknesses too. Earth will need it." "There's an escape pod," Jin Ho said. "You can take the chip. I'll keep them busy here." Yunji shook her head. "That's not happening. We go together." They raced to the escape pod as the larger ship locked onto them with a pulling beam. The small pod barely fit 2 people. Yunji pushed buttons quickly, setting a course for Earth. "They'll follow us," Jin Ho said quietly. "Not if they can't find us." Yunji smiled and hit the final button. The main ship's engines suddenly flared to life, burning bright as they overloaded. The Council cruiser, still connected by the pulling beam, couldn't break away in time. Both ships exploded in a flash that blinded nearby sensors. In the darkness of space, the small escape pod drifted silent and dark, its systems running on minimal power. Inside, Yunji and Jin Ho watched the burning wreckage fade behind them. "Will we make it to Earth?" Jin Ho asked. Yunji clutched the data chip. "We have to. The Council thinks humans are weak, that we're just another species to use and throw away." Her eyes hardened. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The pod continued its slow journey toward Earth, carrying the truth about the Galactic Council and the warning that would change humanity's future forever. Our Galactic Council betrayed humanity. Now we've given them a warning. Run for your lives. 5 years passed since the Council's attack. From space, Earth looked abandoned. The great cities stood empty. No ships came or went. To watching Council eyes, humans had retreated to lick their wounds, broken and defeated. They were wrong. Deep beneath the surface, in vast underground complexes, humanity worked. General Jiwoo walked through the main workshop of Complex 7, nodding at the engineers who looked up from their work. What had once been a subway station now housed one of Earth's largest research centers. "General, you should see this," called Professor Dae-jung. The old scientist waved Jiwoo to his workbench where a small device hummed quietly. "Is that what I think it is?" Jiwoo asked. Dae-jung smiled. "Yes. We've finally copied their gravity technology, but we've made it better." Jiwoo picked up the small metal cube. It felt warm in his hand. "How much better?" "They use it to move ships. We can use it to crush them." Dae-jung pressed a button on his tablet. In the test chamber behind them, a council fighter ship they had captured floated in the air. As Dae-jung moved his finger across the screen, the ship began to fold in on itself like paper. In seconds, it was nothing but a small ball of metal. Jiwoo nodded slowly. "Good. What about the shield project?" "Sunmi can show you herself," Dae-jung said. They found Sunmi in the next room, her hands moving through the air as she worked with a holographic model of Earth. "The planetary shield is at 80%, she said without looking up. "Give me 2 more months and we can hide an entire fleet right under their sensors." Outside the research wing, Jiwoo entered the combat training center. Hundreds of soldiers moved in perfect sync fighting imaginary enemies. Their teacher, Captain Hyun, had once been a dance instructor. Now he taught humans how to kill aliens. "They're learning fast," Hyun said when he spotted Jiwoo. "The council thinks we fight like we did 5 years ago. They don't know what's coming." Jiwoo watched the training for a moment. "And the special teams?" Hyun led him to a smaller room where 20 men and women sat perfectly still, their eyes closed. Small devices were attached to their temples. "Mind link training," Hyun explained. "They can connect directly with our new ships. Reaction time is cut by 80%. "Any side effects?" Jiwoo asked. "They dream of flying now," Hyun said with a small smile, "but they're healthy." The last stop was the shipyard. Hidden in an old mine system, it stretched for miles underground. Hundreds of new ships waited in rows, their black hulls absorbing the light. "How many now?" Jiwoo asked the yardmaster. 2,000 attack vessels ready," she answered. "Another 1,000 by next month." Jiwoo nodded and looked at the nearest ship. It was nothing like the clumsy vessels humans had 5 years ago. These were sleek and deadly, built with stolen council technology and human innovation. That night, Jiwoo met with the other leaders in the main command center. A large map showed council territory and their patrol patterns. "Are we ready?" asked. President Min Ji-woo thought of all he had seen that day. The weapons, the ships, the soldiers. 5 years of silent preparation while the council thought them defeated. "Yes," he said finally. "Their main communication hub at Tau Ceti is lightly defended. If we take it out, their fleets can't coordinate." "And then?" asked another general. Jiwoo looked at the map again. "Then we show them what happens when you corner humans." President Min stood up. "Send the order. Operation First Strike begins tomorrow." As the meeting ended, Jiwoo stepped to the window that showed the night sky above through hidden cameras. Somewhere up there, the council went about their business, never imagining what was coming. "You should have run while you had the chance," he whispered to the stars. "Galactic Council betrayed humanity. Now we've given them a warning. Run for your lives." Captain Hyun-woo checked his suit seals one last time. Around him, 20 elite soldiers did the same. Their ship, the Shadow Blade, drifted silently near. The massive council communication hub. The huge structure looked like a crystal flower floating in space, its petals collecting signals from across the galaxy. "Remember," Hyun-woo said quietly, "we have 30 minutes to plant all devices. The council thinks humans can't pass their security. Let's prove them wrong." The team moved to the airlock. Their suits were special, made with materials that confused council sensors. To the aliens, they would look like space debris, nothing more. "Team ready," said Soo-jin, his second in command. Her face showed no fear, only focus. Hyun-woo nodded. "For Earth." "For Earth," they echoed. The airlock opened, They pushed off into space, using small hand thrusters to guide themselves toward the huge station. 5 years of training had prepared them for this moment. The first strike against the Council who had tried to destroy humanity. They reached the outer hull without being detected. Q1, their tech specialist, placed a small device on the metal surface. It hummed softly and created a hole just big enough for them to slip through. Maintenance tunnel, Q1 whispered, just like the plans showed. Inside, they split into 5 teams. Each carried several quantum disruption devices, small black boxes that looked simple, but contained technology that would shut down the Council's entire communication network. Hyunwoo and Sujin moved through the narrow tunnels, placing devices at key points. Twice they froze as Council workers passed nearby, but their suits kept them hidden. "This is too easy," Sujin whispered as they planted their 4th device. "They never expected us to fight back," Hyunwoo replied. "Pride makes you weak." In the central core, they placed the main device. It would trigger all others when activated. As Sujin set the timer, alarms suddenly blared through the station. "We've been detected," came Q1's voice over the comm. "Section 3 guards found one of our devices." "Is everyone done?" Hyunwoo asked. "All devices placed," came the replies. "Then we move to Phase 2, Hyunwoo ordered. "Fighting retreat to the extraction point." As they raced back toward their entry point, Council security forces filled the corridors. These weren't the diplomatic aliens humans had first met years ago. These were soldiers, tall and fast with weapons that fired. "Energy pulses, down!" Hyunwoo shouted as a pulse flew over their heads. Sujin fired back, her weapon making almost no sound as it sent 3 guards flying backward. The team regrouped at a junction, exchanging fire with the Council forces. 10 minutes until devices activate," Q1 reported. "We need to be clear of the station by then," Hyunwoo said. He pulled a small sphere from his belt. "Cover your eyes." He threw the sphere down the corridor. A flash of light filled the space, followed by confused shouts from the Council soldiers whose eyes were more sensitive than human ones. "Move," Hyunwoo ordered. They fought their way back to the hull breach. 2 team members had been hit, but their armor had protected them. As they reached space, the shadow blade decloaked nearby, its airlock open and waiting. "Everyone in," Hyunwoo shouted. As the last soldier entered, the ship's engines fired. They pulled away from the station just as the first device activated. The lights on the huge structure flickered and died. Then another section went dark. And another. Within moments, the entire communication hub was silent and dark. Across Council space, their faster-than-light communication network collapsed. Their fleets, suddenly unable to coordinate, were now vulnerable. On the bridge of the Shadow Blade, Hyunwoo watched as the first reports came in. Human attack ships were striking isolated Council outposts, without warning, without mercy. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we've captured a Council patrol ship. Admiral Yuna wants you to deliver the message." Hyunwoo nodded and opened a channel to the captured ship. The alien captain's face appeared on screen, its multiple eyes wide with shock. "Impossible," the captain said. "You're just humans. How did you do this?" Hyunwoo leaned forward. "Deliver this message to your leaders. This is just the beginning. Run." As the Shadow Blade jumped to light speed, Hyunwoo looked at his team. 5 years of waiting. 5 years of preparation. Now, the real war had begun. Galactic Council betrayed humanity. Now we've given them a warning. Run for your lives. High Counselor Zenth pounded his fist on the large crystal table. Around him, representatives from 12 alien races looked at each other with fear. Reports from across Council space showed the same thing. Human attacks, precise and deadly, hitting wherever they could not defend. "How is this possible?" Zenth demanded. "They were contained, primitive. We destroyed their outer colonies 5 years ago." "The humans have evolved," said Advisor Zell, her voice shaking. "Our intelligence was wrong." Zenth turned to his military commander. "Deploy the Grand Armada, all of it. Crush these humans once and for all." Across Council space, thousands of warships answered the call. The Grand Armada had never been fully assembled before. It had never needed to be. Over 9,000 ships, each carrying weapons that could destroy a planet, gathered near the jump point to the Sol system. Grand Admiral Thex stood on the bridge of the flagship, the Eternal Glory. The humans have been lucky, nothing more, he told his officers. Their tricks worked against isolated outposts. Against the full might of the Council, they will break. The jump took only moments. 1 second, the Armada was in Council space. The next, they arrived at the edge of the Sol system. Scan for human defenses, Thex ordered. The sensor officer worked his controls, then froze. Sir, this can't be right. Report, Thex snapped. I'm showing thousands of ships, waiting for us. The main screen activated, showing what lay ahead. The Admiral's mouth fell open. Where there should have been a few hundred primitive human vessels, there was a vast fleet. The ships were black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They moved with a grace no human ship had shown 5 years ago. Impossible, Thex whispered. They can't have built this many advanced ships. A human face appeared on the screen. A woman with calm eyes and short black hair. Admiral Yuna wore a simple uniform with no decorations. Council vessels, she said. I am Admiral Yuna of Earth. You are outnumbered and outmatched. Surrender now. Thex laughed. Outnumbered? This is the Grand Armada. We have technologies your species cannot comprehend. Yuna's expression didn't change. You had those technologies. We have improved them. As if to prove her point, several human ships suddenly vanished from the sensors. Before Thex could react, they reappeared directly among the Council fleet. Not firing weapons, but simply touching the Council ships. Wherever they touched, Council vessels crumpled like paper. Gravity weapons, gasped the science officer. But the compression ratios are impossible. More human ships began to move. Some seemed to merge with their pilots, moving with impossible speed and precision. Others fired weapons that the Council ship's shields couldn't stop. All vessels, attack formation, Thex ordered. But it was too late. The perfect formation of the Grand Armada had already broken. Ships were firing randomly, trying to hit targets that moved too quickly. Admiral Yuna, Thex said, turning back to the screen. What do you want? For you to witness, she replied. The screen changed to show a nearby star system. Empty of planets, it had only an aging yellow star. As Thex watched, something small approached the star. Then the star's surface began to ripple. No. Thex whispered. Not even we can affect a star. The star collapsed in on itself, then exploded in a controlled nova. The wave of energy washed over a third of the Council fleet, destroying them instantly. Yuna's face returned to the screen. You tried to cage gods, she said quietly. We gave you years to run. Now it's too late. Thex fell back into his chair as reports flooded in. Ship after ship destroyed or surrendering. The Grand Armada, the greatest force ever assembled, was being torn apart by the very species they had tried to study and control. How? He asked Yuna. How did you advance? So quickly. You gave us no choice, she answered simply. Galactic Council betrayed humanity. Now we've given them a warning. Run for your lives. The Great Hall of New Earth Station hung silent as former enemies gathered. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Sol, where the mighty Council Armada had been broken. Now representatives from 30 alien species waited nervously. Some had been Council members. Others had hidden from the Council for centuries. Ambassador Yunji walked to the center of the hall. She wore a simple white uniform with one small pin, Earth's new symbol of a phoenix rising from flames. The hall fell completely silent as she raised her hand. 5 years ago, I discovered the Council's plan to use humanity as test subjects, she said, her voice calm but carrying to every corner. Today, the Council no longer exists. But humanity does not seek revenge. We seek a better future, the aliens whispered among themselves. They had expected punishment, demands. Instead, this human spoke of peace. The human protectorate is now established, Yunji continued. Any species may join. We offer 3 things: protection, freedom, and progress. In return, we ask for truth, cooperation, and peace. A tall blue alien stood up. Why should we trust humans? You destroyed the council in months. You can control stars themselves. What stops you from becoming worse rulers than the council ever was? Yunji smiled slightly. A fair question. Come with me. She led the representatives to a large observation deck. Outside the window floated an enormous black ship. Unlike the sleek attack vessels, this one was built for science and exploration. This is the Horizon, Yunji said. The first of our deep space explorers. In 2 days it leaves to map the space beyond council territories. We aren't interested in ruling. We want to learn, to grow, to explore. Later that day, Professor Daejung guided some of the alien scientists through Earth's main research center. The aliens moved from station to station, their faces showing shock and sometimes fear. How did you advance so quickly? Asked one scientist, examining a gravity control device. The council had these technologies for thousands of years, yet you improved them in just 5. Daejung smiled. Necessity. You threatened our existence. We had no choice but to evolve or die. Across the station, Admiral Yuna met with former council military leaders. They reviewed footage from the battle, studying how human ships had merged with their pilots. This mind-link technology, one alien commander said. Is it painful for the humans? No, Yuna replied. It's freeing, like becoming something more than just flesh. By evening, 23 species had signed the Protectorate Treaty. In the command center, Yunji stood with Jin-Ho watching the ceremony on screen. Do you think it will last? Jin-Ho asked. Peace, I mean. Yunji looked thoughtful. Maybe, but we'll be ready if it doesn't. A young officer approached them. Ambassador, we're receiving strange signals from beyond the old council borders. It seems to be a distress call, but in no language we know. New contact? Yunji asked, surprised. Yes, and they're being chased by something big. Jin-Ho looked worried. Another threat? We've barely finished with the council. Yunji straightened her uniform. Send the Horizon to investigate and prepare a defense fleet just in case. As she turned to leave, Jin-Ho caught her arm. What if it never ends? What if there's always another fight? Yunji looked out at the stars. Then we'll face it together, all of us. That's the difference between us and the council. They tried to stand alone above everyone. We stand together. Outside, the window, ships from a dozen worlds now moved alongside human vessels. Former enemies, now allies. The council had tried to break humanity. Instead, they had forged something stronger. A new order had begun.